Good afternoon, everyone. It really is a pleasure to host this address to the judiciary. We are coming to you live from inside Mansion House, a venue which I'm sure many of you know well. But for those who don't know me, I am William Russell. I am the 692nd Lord Mayor of the City of London, and I am delighted to be joined today by the Lord Chancellor and the Lord Chief Justice. Thank you for being with us for our very first virtual address, which replaces our annual Judges' Dinner, given the circumstances arising from the pandemic. As Lord Mayor, I am proud to represent every profession within the City of London, especially when I am promoting these services on my international visits. This, of course, includes our legal services, which generate over £60 billion each year and employ over 500,000 people. In the city, we are proud to host one of the most important courts within the country, our Central Criminal Court, or the Old Bailey, a place which has been open throughout lockdown, working in a safe and socially distanced way. Now, I have spent a great deal of time in that historic court, not, I assure you, waiting to be tried, but as a sheriff of the City of London, I lived inside that magnificent building for a year. And when you live there for that long, you get a profound respect for all the staff that work there, the judges, the visiting judges from the High Court, the security staff, and of course, the Recorder of London. I would like to congratulate our former Recorder, Sir Nicholas Hilliard, on his new position in the High Court and all he achieved at the Old Bailey, and welcome our new Recorder, His Honour Judge Mark Lucroft. During this difficult time, the Old Bailey has been dealing with some of the most complex cases they have ever known, including terrorism, murder, and extradition. The dedication and diligence I have seen in the Old Bailey is representative of the hard work undertaken by all our legal services. And let me take this opportunity to thank you, Lord Chief Justice, and all of you watching involved in our legal sector for your professionalism during this time. Those that rely on your decisions, everyone from families, victims of crime, or new businesses, has been given certainty in a time of unease. This dependability is at the core of our legal system, and it is a solid guarantee that business can be conducted fairly, a guarantee that lends the UK a great commercial advantage. Legal services are one of our most important exports, a service I champion when promoting the rule of law on my international visits. They play a major role in the attractiveness of the UK as a place to do business. This is why the City of London is proud to be an ally for the judiciary and every part of our legal system. Especially right now, at a time when we must be doing everything possible to help our legal services, not to mention our entire economy. It is why we greatly support the UK signing up to the Lugano Convention. Our membership is vital, not just for our legal services, but for all businesses and individuals across the UK and the EU. A point which I and our policy chair, Catherine McGuinness, will continue to make in our interactions with our EU partners. Lord Chancellor, I know you are doing all you can to support this, and thank you. As well as maintaining the UK's legal services' continued presence in Europe, on both these matters, you have the City of London's support. Of course, we have been supporting our legal services in many ways, especially when it comes to fostering innovation. Only last week, the City of London Corporation launched the next stage of our plans for a new court and police complex on Fleet Street. It will be a flagship 18-courtroom facility with a new state-of-the-art headquarters for the City of London Police. It will strengthen our justice system and help us crack down on fraud and economic crime. And by incorporating cutting-edge technology and design, it will enhance our reputation as the place where business is done best. We are also supporting our innovative businesses, which are merging technology and law to evolve how legal services are delivered. Already, the UK is a leader here. We receive half of all global investment in law tech, and we want to ensure that the UK's law tech offer continues to grow, which is why we are working with the legal sector, innovators, and the Ministry of Justice on our law tech sounding board. This cooperation will help us to seize opportunities, overcome challenges, and support innovation in the sector. Creating a supportive and collaborative environment can really make the difference in business. And it is a similar supportive environment that can be life-changing for those leaving our legal system. Anyone who knows me and the Lady Mayoress personally will know about our passion for charities that support our legal services, especially those that help people leaving prison and re-entering our society, now known by us as returning citizens. There are over 1,700 charities working in the criminal justice sector, befriending schemes, theatre groups, employment support, and everything in between. But the goal is the same: to offer invaluable services which can change lives. Throughout my term in office, I will be supporting charities like Clinks, the Corbett Network, Bounce Back, and others, charities that do so much to support our legal system. And through this work, they ensure that once people leave prison, they never see the likes of the criminal court system again. I will be hosting a conference next year, encouraging businesses to employ returning citizens, which will help realize the untapped potential in people so often overlooked by society. The City of London livery companies have been doing some excellent work here too, with the launch of No Going Back in Brixton Prison, which aims to match employers with returning citizens, offering them accommodation as well as a job, both of which could be life-changing. Ladies and gentlemen, we have all experienced great hardships through this difficult time, but we must not let this affect our resolve. Our rule of law has helped make this country what it is today, adapting to new situations and upholding our values with rigorous dedication. I know that through partnership with government, the legal sector, and innovators, it will continue to thrive, and through that flourishing, further enhance our distinguished global reputation. Thank you very much. I will now hand over to the Lord Chief Justice of England and Wales.
My Lord Mayor, thank you for your invitation to speak at Mansion House this afternoon. In normal times, many judges would be enjoying the hospitality of the City of London at the annual Judges' Dinner. But these are not normal times. The coronavirus pandemic has led to tragedy for many, to serious illness for more, and to disruption for all. Each of us has cause to thank the millions of people who have maintained vital public and private services and kept the economic heart of the nation beating. I pay tribute to all those in the NHS and every sector of society who have put themselves at risk for our collective benefit. The administration of justice is a vital public service, and more than that, because it underpins the rule of law. None of our courts or tribunals ceased to function when the country went into lockdown. Then, the focus of the public and commentators was understandably elsewhere. But I've been encouraged that in recent weeks, public debate has drawn out the importance of timely justice for society and for individuals and for businesses. I have expressed my thanks directly to judges, to court staff, to the legal profession, and the many others who have kept the courts and tribunals running over the last 4 months. And I've done so before parliamentary committees. But I wish to do so again in this public environment. Their commitment and creativity has enabled not only urgent cases to be heard in all jurisdictions, but also quietly to keep the wheels of justice turning across the whole range of work. We face a real challenge. The volume of outstanding work has grown in all jurisdictions. Restrictions on the use of space while social distancing and other public health precautions remain in place mean courts will continue to be constrained in the volumes of normal hearings that can be undertaken. Imaginative thinking is going into utilizing the court estate to its maximum capacity, with physical changes, careful listing, and the use of technology all playing their part. The aphorism, "justice delayed is justice denied," may have become something of a cliché, but it is true. In all jurisdictions, the delivery of timely justice is vital, whether through resolution at final hearings or by facilitating compromise. It is critical for the lives and well-being of individuals and also for businesses. People must be able to resolve family disputes and move on, and delay in resolving disputes concerning children can itself cause harm. For the relatively small proportion of civil claims that don't settle out of court, the parties want and deserve a swift answer. So too in the Employment Tribunal and the tribunals which exist to resolve disputes between the state and individuals. The delivery of criminal justice has proved difficult during the past 4 months and will do so in the foreseeable future. That said, the magistrates' courts have continued to operate throughout and are fast returning towards pre-COVID levels of work. I'm heartened by the enthusiasm of lay magistrates not only to get back to normal sitting, but to support additional hearings to enable the backlog to be cleared. Talk of the backlog taking years to clear is wide of the mark. The omens are good for a return to relative normality within months. Jury trials have presented the most testing difficulties. The other work of the Crown Court accelerated during lockdown, but it was not possible for some weeks to start new jury trials. At the beginning of April, we established a judge-led group to work out plans to enable them to get going again, taking account of public health advice with necessary logistical adjustments. They commenced again in the second week of May. We now have jury trials running in most of our Crown Court buildings, and the number of trials is increasing rapidly. I don't underestimate the difficulty in putting in place systems which will enable trials to be conducted in sufficient numbers not only to cope with the work flowing into the Crown Court, but also to erode the accumulated backlog. Policymakers and Parliament may yet have to consider radical but temporary measures to aid that process. Thousands of people await trial in custody, subject to statutory custody time limits. Those cases must be the priority. Yet all cases are important, and delay has an adverse impact on complainants, witnesses, and the accused alike, and also on confidence in the administration of justice. Over the last 4 months, judges in all jurisdictions, together with all who work in the system, have shown flexibility and creativity to enable justice to continue to be done. It has been especially striking how local initiatives have delivered results. Collectively, we will continue that work to make sure that those who depend on the courts and tribunals will find them responsive in a timely fashion. I'm grateful that in the Lord Chancellor, we have someone with a deep appreciation of the justice system and an understanding of the different issues that arise in each of our jurisdictions. I know he shares my determination to use the court estate to the maximum, as well as to secure temporary space where needed to enhance capacity. He has been a firm supporter of the necessity to make technology available quickly to enable one or all of the participants in a hearing to attend remotely when that's appropriate. We must continue to make full use of that facility. Importantly, we also share a commitment to make full use of both salaried and fee-paid judges to eat into the backlogs in all jurisdictions. All this will require government support to make the resources available which provide the buildings, the technology, and staff needed for the courts and tribunals to provide timely justice. Thank you, Lord Chancellor, for the decisive steps taken so far. Technology has enabled much to happen in the last 4 months which would otherwise have come to a halt. We have taken 3 steps forward and no doubt will take 1 step back. But there is no going back to February 2020. In every jurisdiction, there is a growing understanding of what is ideally suited for remote attendance, what is acceptable, and what is not. Too often, the problems encountered are technical, not least the internet connection of the weakest link. And even now, many courts are making do with ad hoc arrangements much less good than those envisaged for the future. The difficulties caused by coronavirus will be with us for many more months, if not longer, and so the expanded use of technology will be necessary. There will be a constant evaluation of the experience in all jurisdictions so that proven advantages can be baked into practice. Where that experience shows that remote attendance is not in the interests of justice, that lesson too will be learned. But as a judge said to me last week, the idea that lawyers will be required to travel for an hour or two, wait around, and then deploy arguments for half an hour before traveling back has now gone. We have learned that those parts of our courts and tribunals that were most advanced in the modernization program, particularly with digitized filing, have prospered best. One such area has been the business and property courts. Its work continued with barely a hiccup. We have witnessed again this year how innovation in these courts, combined with the innate adaptability of English law, continues to attract international businesses to resolve disputes in London. The reputation of the business and property courts, including the commercial court, which celebrates its 125th anniversary this year, is underpinned by the outstanding quality of our judges, supported by an expert, vibrant, independent legal profession and squadrons of allied expertise. My Lord Mayor, the City of London provides much valuable support for the legal sector and for the courts, most recently manifested in the publication of detailed proposals for the new City of London law courts to be built off Fleet Street. We are grateful for your continued support. The day-to-day travails of coronavirus should not take our focus away from essentials. International business comes to London because the rule of law is an absolute given in the United Kingdom. It comes because we have independent, incorruptible, and impartial judges appointed on merit from the leading lawyers in practice. Those qualities infuse the judiciary in all jurisdictions and at all levels. Recruitment as a second career, first as a fee-paid judge and then salaried, enhances the objective quality and independence of the judiciary and its reputation. There remain difficulties in filling some vacancies, but I am grateful to the Lord Chancellor and his Cabinet colleagues for having adhered to the decision last year of their predecessors to pursue the pension reform judged necessary by the SSRB. We must continue to attract lawyers of high quality to the rich variety of judicial offices needed to sustain the administration of justice. Intense work is underway involving the judiciary, the Lord Chancellor, the Judicial Appointments Commission, and professions to attract application from as diverse a range of talented lawyers as possible. In doing so, it is particularly important to maintain the attraction of the salaried judiciary. It is those judges who devote their professional time and energy to the business of judging to the exclusion of all else, who do the most demanding cases and contribute so much beyond the disposal of their cases. Our fee-paid judges provide vital flexibility, and fee-paid roles secure a training ground for those who will go on to become salaried judges. Opportunities for additional fee-paid sitting will arise as we deal with COVID-related matters. But our judiciary rightly depends primarily on a core of judges who are committed to judicial office for the rest of their careers. During the next legal year, much will be thrown at us. No doubt it will call on our resilience and on our creativity. We will continue to innovate. Public service are the watchwords of all judges. The last 4 months have shown the ability of judges to adapt to sustain the administration of justice in adversity. In that, we have had the unswerving support of the Lord Chancellor and Her Majesty's Courts and Tribunals Service. Whatever the next few months bring, the judges can be relied upon to serve the public and the rule of law. My Lord Mayor, thank you.
I now invite the Lord Chancellor and Secretary of State for Justice to address us.
My Lord Mayor, my Lord Chief Justice, and honoured guests joining us virtually, I'd like to thank the Lord Mayor for holding this event. You've been a great friend to the law in your term so far, particularly in your support for LawTech, something I am convinced will be key to sustaining the reputation of England and Wales as an international centre of excellence. That reputation is testament to the careful and considered evolution of our system over centuries, with an independent judiciary and the rule of law as guardians of our fairness and of our freedom. Upholding those abiding principles is a duty that falls to us all. But when I took my oath of office almost exactly a year ago, I made a solemn promise to respect and defend them, an oath that I take extremely seriously. Judicial freedom from political motivation or influence, including interference from Parliament or the government, is essential to the effective operation of our democracy. And in my view, it is something on which there can be no compromise. I have and always will make that plain, both at the Cabinet table and in public. I would never want judges to be appointed based upon their political opinions or their past. It is vital that you are able to make rulings on their merits in law alone. And as your Lord Chancellor, I will always defend you on that basis. Your integrity is, I think, underlined by the quality of those who sit on the bench. And if we are to continue to attract the best people to join the ranks of the judiciary, then we must make judicial appointment as attractive as possible. And to that end, the government is determined to get judicial remuneration right. This has been a personal priority of mine, and I'm pleased that we've been able to agree to put forward a set of proposals for reforming the judicial pension scheme set out in the consultation launched just last week. And I aim to introduce that reformed scheme in 2022. The government has this year accepted all the recommendations made by the Senior Salaries Review Board on judicial pay, including a 2% increase for all judges and, importantly, a new leadership allowance to recognise circuit judges who undertake leadership posts. And I was also particularly pleased to be able to launch a consultation on raising the mandatory retirement age for judicial office holders. I believe the time is now right to review that retirement age, to ensure that we do not lose excellent judges unnecessarily. The consultation also applies to magistrates, and it is right that we look at their retirement age in line with the wider judiciary. But we're also placing a strong focus on recruiting new magistrates. And working with the Magistrate Recruitment Attraction and Steering Group, we're delivering a broad range of work to recruit more magistrates from all walks of life. As we move into a new era for the justice system, I want this work to safeguard the excellence and expertise that exists right across our judiciary, from those of you who've made the law your life's work, to those who have chosen to give back to society through service in the justice system and strengthen it for the future. A strong judiciary also needs the right tools to do its job. Sentencing, frankly, has been a problem for far too long. Many of you will have greater experience, but it's something that I recognized when I first started practicing at the criminal bar nearly 30 years ago, and then later when sitting as a recorder in the Crown Court. The 1,300 or so pages of complicated, overlapping law made sentencing confusing and delayed the justice process. We've already started paving the way for a new sentencing code, and a bill to create one was introduced in the House of Lords in March. Bringing sentencing procedural law into a sentencing code will mean more clarity and will ensure that hearings are much more straightforward in future. This isn't just good for the smooth running of the courts. It will mean greater transparency, and it will, I firmly believe, give the public confidence that the law is being applied correctly. This is a long overdue change, but I hope it will make a real difference for everyone working in and affected by the criminal justice system, and to support you to do your work effectively and efficiently in the future. Now, I'd like to say something about the response of our courts to coronavirus, which allowed, as the Lord Chief Justice said, the wheels of justice to continue turning during the pandemic, a vital public service. And I echo the remarks by the Lord Chief Justice about all the public services who have served so valiantly during this emergency. And in particular, I want to express my gratitude to the judiciary and to Her Majesty's Courts and Tribunal Service staff right across England and Wales, who've worked tirelessly to prioritise work and to ensure essential services could continue functioning safely. I want to pay tribute to the judicial leadership and senior president of tribunals, and in particular, the Lord Chief Justice, for the collaborative approach that has been taken throughout. The fact that we have been able to work so closely together, keeping in regular contact to discuss issues and to agree resolutions, has served to strengthen our collective response. Those first few weeks were crucial. Had we not been able to triage the work and put in place arrangements quickly, then the outcomes could have been very different indeed. As it is, we managed to keep at least 157 court and tribunal buildings open throughout. More than 300 buildings are now open, and as of this week, jury trials have resumed in 57 Crown courts. What we have managed to achieve has been recognised globally. And to put it into context, for example, in Canada, jury trials do not yet even have a date for their resumption. But let's make no mistake, we need to do much more, particularly given the acute restrictions on capacity that have been brought about by social distancing. This challenge is unprecedented, even if the current level of outstanding cases is not. And I am determined that we continue to work together to find creative solutions. Whether that's the additional Nightingale courts that I announced last week, or whether we are more imaginative about how and when we use our existing courthouses. Ultimately, the continued faith of all court users and the wider public in our ability to deliver timely justice depends upon our swift and effective action at this time of national emergency. What the response so far demonstrates is the ability of our system to adapt. It goes back to what I said at the beginning of my remarks. The success of our system is built on its ability to grow and change with the needs of our society. In this instance, the rapid expansion of phone and video technology has enabled hearings to take place virtually while they could not happen physically. The Lord Chief Justice has already spoken about recovery, but I do just want to say something briefly on where I think we should go from here. As you know, modernising the courts was already a priority, but we are now facing a very different future, and in many ways, there will be no going back. HMCTS has been making the cloud video platform available in all of our criminal courts, and there are plans to provide it right across other jurisdictions as well. Throughout July, CVP has been made available to an increasing number of county courts, and we'll be rolling out further hardware to improve the quality of video hearings, and we'll be finding new, increasingly efficient ways of organising video lists. And as we look beyond coronavirus, I think it's really important that we take everything we've achieved and learned during this pandemic to re-energise our programme of reform, to take a fresh look at where technology can play an even greater role in our justice system. We've already seen the benefits of reform to the processes around divorce, where automation and digital working has seen waiting times plummet. The latest published figures show that digital cases were 38 weeks quicker compared to the overall waiting times in the same period just last year. The Ministry of Justice will be looking over the next few months at just what more could be possible, and I hope to come forward with proposals later on this year. Ultimately, I want us to see the period ahead as not just a recovery, but a renewal for our justice system. Judicial leadership will be key to that as the anchors that keep our system all steady in the waves of change, ensuring that we never leave or lose sight of our core principles. In the months and years ahead, I hope that we can continue working collaboratively to transform the courts for the benefit of all those who use them. Getting it right could mean a system that not only emerges intact from the crisis, but which is fundamentally more efficient, more dynamic, and more resilient. A smarter system for a different future. My Lord Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, all that's left for me to do is to thank you, Lord Chancellor, and you, Lord Chief Justice, for being with us today and for your speeches on how vital our legal sector is. And finally, thank you all watching at home in your office, wherever you are, for taking the time to be with us today. Thank you very much, and I send you all my good wishes. Have a good evening.